It is now the top of the hour, 9 o'clock here on the East Coast, 6 a.m. as you wake up out west. And the Justice Department secured a major win yesterday when a federal jury convicted Stewart Rhodes. He's the founder of the far-right extremist group, the Oath Keepers, and a top lieutenant, Kelly Meggs, of seditious conspiracy in connection with the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. 3 other members of the group, Jessica Watkins, Kenneth Harrelson, Thomas Caldwell, were acquitted on the charge of seditious conspiracy, but they were convicted of obstruction of an official proceeding. The conspiracy charge carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. This is the most serious case to grow out of the Justice Department's sprawling investigation into the Capitol attack. A sentencing date has not yet been set. Attorneys for Rhodes say they do plan to appeal. Join us now, former U.S. Attorney Barbara McQuade. She is an MSNBC legal analyst. So, Barbara, what's your reaction to the verdict here? I think a lot of people who saw the evidence and had heard the testimony in the case thought that this was the correct verdict. Are you surprised, though?
I'm not surprised, but I am, I guess, relieved just because I know all of the ways a case can go sideways. I oversaw a prosecution under the seditious conspiracy statute 10 or so years ago and saw a case result in an acquittal just because, the standards are built to favor defendants. We have a system in which we agree that it is better that 10 guilty people go free than 1 innocent person be convicted. And so, the case has to be proven by guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, unanimously by all 12 jurors. But it's such an important verdict here because it holds accountable people who think they have a right to rise up against our government in insurrection because they tried to disrupt the peaceful transfer of presidential power. And imagine if this case had come out the other way. If they had been acquitted, I think it would have bolstered anyone else out there who might have similar plans. So really important verdict here. Yeah,
the point that's been made several times this morning is that this idea of vigilante justice and deputizing yourself to go in and fight what you say is tyranny won't stand in the country. That's what this verdict says. There's more out there still, as you know, Barbara. The Proud Boys on trial, Donald Trump, of course, around and over all of this. What do these verdicts tell you about future cases coming here?
Well, for all of those who are lined up facing seditious conspiracy charges already, like the Proud Boys, I think that they have to be looking at this verdict. And it really gives the Justice Department a stronger hand in negotiating any resolution of those cases. And, the currency of a prosecutor is cooperation. And so if I am somebody who's been charged with seditious conspiracy and I see those verdicts yesterday, I'm now thinking that a plea deal might sound more attractive. I was kind of watching to see what happened there. And maybe if there had been acquittals, I like my chances and I go to trial. Now that I see that juries are buying this story, that you can't just rise up in vigilante justice and take what you think is right against your own government, I think that it may be a more attractive alternative to provide information. And that's where it improves the Justice Department's hand in going after the higher-ups, because if there is any link between the violence with the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys and President Trump or his close advisors, there are people who know that. And so finding those people and talking with them and getting that information is critical to holding the president accountable for his role, if any, in planning the violence.
So, Barbara, you set me up there with the segue. The election has come and gone. A special counsel has been appointed. Certainly, the investigation into Donald Trump himself is ongoing. Reading some tea leaves here, drawing conclusions from these verdicts or the accounts of new members of the Trump orbit that have given testimony, that have to the DOJ, that have appeared before grand juries. Where do you think we're going next there?
Well, clearly the investigation is looking into the most inner circle of Donald Trump. They've been talking to people at high-level aides. They've been talking to White House counsel. And so they clearly are trying to see if there is this link between Donald Trump and the violence that occurred at the Capitol on January 6th. It may be there. It may not be there. But it does appear that Merrick Garland is being true to his word, that the Justice Department will hold accountable anyone who was involved in the attack on the Capitol that day. So I imagine that now that we have Jack Smith taking charge of this, he will continue in that vein. I know there's been talk about even, putting Mike Pence in the grand jury, which I think is an essential move, because if you're going to charge Donald Trump, you need to know all of the things that he was thinking and saying, and you need to make sure you don't have any surprise witnesses in an eventual trial in favor of the defense. So it seems that they are pursuing that case to its end. And if they have the evidence to prove that case beyond a reasonable doubt, given the very high standards in those cases, then I take Merrick Garland at his word that the Justice Department will bring those charges.
All right, Barbara McQuade, thank you very much for your analysis and insight this morning.